Hello YouTube friends. We're not in the city today. We're out in suburbs in a place called Peterhof, some 20 miles out of St Petersburg, the only royal residence by the sea, famous for fountains of course. We're gonna see them next. But right now I'm walking past the main facade of the Peterhof Palace. The place is huge and the place is also famous for a lot of gold inside and out. Let's get into the gardens and see what they have in store.
Right now that the traveling is limited, we would like to bring back memories, or if you haven't visited St. Petersburg, show you how beautiful the city is and why it makes sense to come when this whole virus thing's over. The Great Cascade is right here. The park has a lot of cascades and this is the main one. In the center you can see a sculpture fountain called Samson, like the mythological Samson. If you look closely, you're going to see that he's tearing apart mouth of a lion. Lion is the coat of arms of Sweden. It was the arch enemy of Russia during the reign of Peter the Great. As we have just mentioned, Peterhof is all about cascades, and this is another one called Chess Hill, due to the black and white squares that resemble the chessboard. They also call it Dragon's Cascade, as there are 3 green dragons you can see up there on the hill. And these are the Roman fountains. Rome was always number 1 for Russia, and these ones resemble the fountains out on St. Peter's Square. The fountain that we're going to next is called the Pyramid. You can see it in the background. Let's go get a closer look. Pyramid is considered to be one of the nicest fountains out in this park. It uses about 25 gallons of water per second. You can see there's a lot of it. And what makes it interesting is that it's only water. Like everything in this park, this fountain has a symbolic significance. It looks like a pyramid and reminds us an obelisk. It goes to the times when Russian army had a tradition of installing the obelisks at the end of the road after they arrived at the place where they were deployed. And this monument is not an exception. It symbolically stands for the end of the road in that long and winding Russian-Swedish war. Now this fountain is favorite with kids. They come from all over Russia just to see this particular fountain. You can see the kids about to run, and if you step on a certain stone, the sprinklers of water descend upon your head. It's the fountain that was installed in the late 18th century. Little tree with leaves where dozens of little jets concealed. As you might know, this cold northern city is pretty hot in the summer. It gets all the way into the hundreds, and it's very pleasant to spend the day here. This part of the park is particularly nice in the summertime. You can see lots of fountains coming up, and right by the sea, which you can see in the background, the whole big complex of Montplaisir Palace. It's a pretty historic one. Peter loved Versailles when he traveled to France, and that's why you can see those aviaries full of exotic birds. You can go in and pet the birds. We saw that big palace at the entrance, and Peter, as we know, didn't particularly enjoy staying there. This one in the background was his favorite. Montplaisir is probably the nicest place in the whole park. Stands right by the sea. On a day like this one, clear day, in the background there you can see the city of St. Petersburg itself. You can see this large body of water, which is the Gulf of Finland, or Baltic Sea as some people prefer to call it. You can come all the way to the banister by the water, and on a good year you could see lots of cruises here. No cruises anymore. The place, is, as we just mentioned, is full of history. A lot of paintings painted by famous Russian artists feature the interiors of this palace. Peter held assemblies here. Peter received guests. And again, when you come to Peterhof, you can get a ticket and you can tour the palace. Let's have a quick look what's in there. For more than 30 years, Russia was ruled by someone named Catherine II, and she was the wife of a royal heir at some point, and it was here that the palace coup against her husband, Peter III, when he finally became the emperor, was planned. And in the year 1762, it was from here that she left for St. Petersburg, and eventually he was dethroned, and the rest is history. She held on to power like crazy, ruled Russia with an iron hand, all until her dying day in 1796, and went down in history as Catherine the Great, as that was the title given to her by Imperial Senate. In the communist times, historians adored her, and right now, a lot of the things that we didn't know before start to come to surface. Again, if you come to Peterhof, you can tour this palace, see the interiors. It's open all year round. This is the sculpture fountain, a lady holding an apple, and we can clearly say this is Eve. Peter had commissioned Adam and Eve sculptures. By now we already know he was a big admirer of ancient history, hence the acquisition. Giovanni Bonazza, Italian Venetian sculptor, made copies of original sculptures that we can still see in the Palace of Doges in Venice. This fountain as well has a historic significance. Just as Adam and Eve, who started the whole thing for mankind, the Peter the Great and Catherine I, his wife, started the whole new chapter for Russia. A short walk away is the western side of the park. It's also full of treasures. We're gonna get closer to them, take a closer look, and right now, let's just admire the seashore again. Right now, from this terrace, you can see deep down in the background in the sea, we're going to see right now the little piece of land. It's an island called Kronstadt. The first fort was there, and it protected the city during the war with Sweden again. And if you remember how we talked about the cascades, it's another one, Golden Hill. Those gilded bronze plates decorate the steps and give you the impression of the fountain being decorated with a lot of gold. In front of the cascade, you can see the water pool. It was not a swimming pool, it was used to keep the fish for the royal table. And again, very Peter's thing, small palace, Chateau de Marly, this one's called, just like the French palace he saw once. And he fell in love with it. He preferred to stay here again. And after Catherine the Great had inherited this residence, she loved to stay here as well. And this pool that you can see right now, semicircular, divided into many sections, is where she fed her goldfish. She was no stranger to posh life herself. And here's a closer look at the Golden Hill, the marble statues. If you walk up, you will see statues like Neptune, Triton, Bacchus, Minerva, Mercury, Venus. You name them, they're all here. And again, the significance of all of them is the glorification of Russia's achievements, military, naval, commercial, scientific, you name them. Take a look at the wonderful marble. Of course, in the summertime, you're going to see a lot of them squirrels. They're red and they're pretty friendly. They're not like the ones that most of the people used to. You can see the young lady is feeding it, and it's very, very sweet. Right now, we're approaching a little nice memorial. You can see a bust of a lady, marble benches. It's Princess Alexandra, the daughter of Nicholas I, dead at 19 years of age. Hence the monument, memorial, big tragedy for her father. We're approaching another proof to the claim that Peterhof is the land of cascades. This one's called Lion's Cascade. You can see the statues of lions decorating it. The original idea was Peter's, but it was never realized until early 1800s. And that's why style is different. You can see those 20 feet tall granite columns. It's all neoclassical. And you can't really tell it's a cascade because it looks completely different from the ones that were originally built in Peter the Great's time. And of course, the main one, the Great Cascade, is coming up. Here it is, pride and joy of Peterhof summer residence. The palace, the Samson that we have just mentioned, and let's take a closer look. When we started, the weather was very gloomy, and right now it's full of sun. It's very rare. However, it's not uncommon for St. Petersburg. The weather changes here every half hour. Samson, 60 feet tall fountain, and the colonnades that you can see here were built by famous Russian architect Andrei Varonikin. He was a serf and a self-made man. He went from zero to hero. Gonna let you admire the cascade from the top, and you can see the sea canal. Right now, on top, if you remember when we started, I told you that underneath where we stand, there's a grotto with pipes, and these pipes are fantastic. They make this place very special because there are no pumps used here at all. It's all the gravity. We're on a hill, and the pipes located this way that the gravity, the pressure, pushes the water so high up in the air. And with this view, we will be wrapping it up. Thank you for having joined us today. It was just a little effort from us to show you what you can't really see easily in person right now. We've covered most of the highlights of the lower park, and it's huge. 256 acres. There's a lot of museums that we have mentioned. They're worth visiting, and maybe in one of the future videos we're gonna get into them. God bless, take care, stay safe, and see you.